Hey everyone, so if you're studying BTech sport, you already know that building a great athlete isn't just about putting in the hours, it's about training smart. Today, we're going to open up the ultimate training toolbox. We're talking the exact methods you need to design programs that create better, stronger, and faster performers. Let's get right into it. Every top athlete has a moment just like this. Pure focus, ready to go. But getting to this point, it is not magic. It's all about dedication, hard work, and, this is the crucial part, a really smart, well-designed training plan. And that's exactly what we're going to figure out how to build today. All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll introduce this whole toolbox idea. Then, we'll get into the tools for building the physical engine, the raw power and stamina. After that, we'll look at honing your finesse, all the skill-based stuff. And to wrap it all up, we'll learn a super simple method for picking the right tool for any job. Okay, so I want you to think of yourself as a coach for a second. You wouldn't use a sledgehammer to fix a tiny watch, right? Of course not. Well, the exact same logic applies to training athletes. Different goals, like endurance or speed or power, they all need completely different tools from the toolbox. So our toolbox basically has two main compartments. The first one is for building what we call the physical foundation. Think of this as the raw materials, brute strength, pure speed, and endless endurance. The second compartment is all about skill-related finesse. This is the agility, balance, and coordination that turns all that raw power into precise, game-winning action. So let's start with that foundation, with building the engine. This is all about the core physical stuff that pretty much every single athlete needs no matter what sport they play. This is what drives their entire performance. First tool up is continuous training. This is your classic long, steady run, or a swim, or a bike ride. The key words here are steady and no rest. It's really the simplest, most fundamental way to build up your aerobic base, that deep well of endurance that lets an athlete just keep going and going. Now, let's mix it up a bit. Fartlek training. It's a Swedish term that literally means speed play, which is a perfect description. Unlike that steady pace of continuous training, here you're constantly changing your speed and how hard you're working. Like sprinting up a hill, then jogging back down. It's way more dynamic and, honestly, a lot less boring. And this is a perfect example of where fartlek training really shines. Just think about sports like rugby or hockey for a second. Do those players ever just run at one continuous speed? No way. They're constantly jogging, then sprinting, then walking, then changing direction. Fartlek training is designed to mimic exactly those kinds of demands. Next is interval training, which might just be one of the most versatile tools in the entire toolbox. The real magic here is how you can tweak it for different goals. Just look at these two examples. If you're chasing endurance, you'll do longer work periods with shorter rests. But if you want pure, explosive speed, you flip the whole thing on its head. Short, all-out burst is max effort, followed by longer rests so you're totally recovered for the next one. Okay, we've hit endurance and speed. Let's talk about building strength. And that brings us to one of the biggest debates you'll hear in any gym. Should you be using free weights, dumbbells and barbells, or should you stick to the resistance machines? This table breaks it down nicely. Honestly, it comes down to a big trade-off. With free weights, you have to control the weight and the movement, which is fantastic for building all those little stabilizing muscles. But your technique has to be perfect, or the risk of injury is much higher. Resistance machines, on the other hand, kind of hold your hand. They guide the movement for you, which makes them way safer and perfect for beginners, or if you just want to isolate one specific muscle. To finish up our physical engine section, let's touch on two specific methods for pure speed. Acceleration sprints are pretty much what they sound like. You build up from a jog to a flat-out sprint. It teaches your body to get to top speed efficiently. Then you've got resistance drills. Think sprinting while pulling a sled or with the parachute on your back. These are awesome for building the raw power you need to just explode off the starting line. So we've built the engine. It's strong, it's fast, it's got stamina. Now what? Well, now it's time to fine-tune it. This next set of tools is all about skill-related fitness. We're talking about improving an athlete's ability to use all that strength and speed with real precision and efficiency. This is what separates the good athletes from the truly great ones. Let's do a quick run-through of the main tools here. For agility, you've got your SAQ drills. That's speed, agility, and quickness, using things like cones and ladders. For power, the go-to is plyometrics. Think explosive jumps and bounds. To work on balance, you might use something unstable, like a wobble board. Coordination drills get different body parts working together smoothly. And finally, reaction time drills help you sharpen that split-second response to something like a starter's gun. Let's just zoom in on plyometrics for a moment, because this one is absolutely key for unlocking explosive power. It's all about training your muscles to produce the most amount of force in the shortest amount of time. Seriously? Every time you see a basketball player just hang in the air for a dunk or a sprinter explode out of the blocks, what you're really seeing is plyometric power in action. Okay, so now our toolbox is officially full. We've got methods for endurance, strength, speed, agility, power, the whole shebang. But this brings up a new and really important challenge. And this is the question every coach, every athlete has to answer. With all these great options, how in the world do you pick the perfect one for a specific person with a specific goal at a specific point in their training? It's not enough to just have the tools. You've got to know when and how to use them. And guess what? There's an answer. To solve this problem, we can use a really simple framework. I want you to remember this acronym, CLEAN. This is your master plan. This is how you pick the right training method every single time. So what does CLEAN stand for? Well, you just run through a few practical questions. C is for cost. Can you actually afford the equipment needed? L is for location and level of fitness. Where are you training and what's the athlete's current fitness like? E is for ease of setup. How quickly can you get this session up and running? A is for age. Is this method actually appropriate for the athlete's age? And finally, N is for the number of participants. Are you training just one person or a whole team at once? Okay, let's put this into practice. Here's a classic scenario. You've got two lacrosse players. Both of them want to get faster. Simple enough. But one is a total beginner with pretty low fitness, and the other is an experienced player who's already in great shape. Using our CLEAN method, especially that level of fitness part, what would you do? The answer is right there in the L from CLEAN, level of fitness. For the beginner, interval training is without a doubt the best choice. And why is that? Because you can completely customize the work-to-rest ratio. You can give them longer rest periods that match their current ability, which makes sure they can recover properly while still getting better. If you threw them into something too intense too soon, you're just asking for burnout or an injury. And this really gets to the core of it all. None of these methods are magic bullets or quick fixes. As the BTech course itself reminds us, reaching that peak level of performance is a long-term game. It takes years of dedication and, most importantly, the smart application of all these training principles. So there you have it. The toolbox is wide open. You have all the methods, and now you have the CLEN blueprint to guide your choices. The only question left is, what kind of athlete are you going to build? Now it's your turn to put this knowledge to work.